Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Nicky Phenom, a singer-songwriter who has dared to dream and is now on a mission to capture that dream. I created this channel not only to share my original music, but also to document my journey and to share some of my experience along the way in hopes that it helps to inspire, motivate, and educate you and others like us so that we can grow together as artists. And in this video, I want to answer the question, what would I be doing if I wasn't doing music? Let's talk about it. Okay, so if I were not committed to this music thing, if I had just kind of kept down the path that I was doing before, I made that decision that I was going to be a singer or musician, what would I be doing right now or putting most of my concentration in at this point? That's a little bit of a tough question. Not real. I mean, I have a few things in mind. In fact, and it's not that I couldn't do all of these other things all at once, maybe, but as you guys may know, I'm trying not to repeat myself too much because I've told my story a lot here and there on some previous videos, so I don't want to get too deep into my story. But when I got into music, I had made that decision, committed myself to this music career about roughly about 8 years ago. Now, before I was doing music, I was very heavily into fitness. I was a fitness trainer. I was a strength and conditioning coach. I was an assistant boxing coach. And all that kind of, was within the same kind of scope, right? I focused, again, on mostly fitness. And as you could probably see here, I try to decorate my background a little bit with some of my boxing things here. I have some pictures hanging up of my coach. Coach me, Brent Bowers, by the way, is his name. He actually wrote a book. He was a chief sparring partner for George Foreman, and helped him win the second coming of his championship, becoming the oldest heavyweight champion of the world, and still holds the record to this day. But anyways, I got some pictures here of my coach sparring with George Foreman. I'm sorry about the background, guys. It kind of sucks. This is not what I envisioned it looking like when I put it together. But I'm kind of a little bit in a hurry for this video, so I just kind of left it as it was. I think it'll be fine. It's not that big a deal. But anyways, there's me up here with him, Brent Bowers. There's him, my coach, coaching and working the corner of George Foreman's son, Monk, when he was boxing. And these are some signed boxing gloves by my coach that are special to me because he was letting me use these when he was training me. And they were gloves that he had used back when he was doing the whole working out and training thing, boxing and all that stuff himself. So those are very special to me, and I keep them in that case. And this is a copy of his book over here. It's called Cut Man. It's got all his stories, kind of like behind the scenes, backstage stories, dressing room stories of the George Foreman camp when he was working with George. Very cool stuff. I'm glad he was able to do this, and I'm glad I'm able to show this to you guys so you can kind of give him some recognition. And if y'all are boxing fans or are interested at all in his stories, then go check that out. And up here, it was supposed to be just I was putting my information, like my Instagram information, on there. I have two accounts, one for my lighting effects production company, where I do rental equipment and I do services like go out and set up the lighting and operate it if you need it for some shows, and do deals with local artists around the area here in Orlando. And anyways, as you can see, it's not really coming out very well on the video. None of this stuff really, but but it's there. And anyways, it was put there for it had purpose to it, but no big deal. Anyways, sorry I didn't want to drag this video on too long, and I'm unfortunately doing that to you guys now. So let's just move on. as I said, I was a boxing coach, assistant to Brent Bowers, um, on the amateur and professional level. Um, into fitness a lot. Like I said, I was even part of a home fitness video series that was filmed in Houston, Texas when I was there. I think it was around maybe 2013 through 2014. I can't remember, somewhere around there. And we actually were the guy that I was working with who was doing the filming and stuff, who kind of put that whole project together. He was able to push those videos and get them on Walmart shelves all across Houston, which was very inspiring, very cool, and motivating to anybody who's ever, because we were nobodies, right? Like we weren't rich or famous. We didn't have these big connections with people. It was just a lot of we had a dream, and we had we had ideas, and there was commitment to doing these things, and we were going to put it out there. And I'm very proud. My friend's name is Felton Young, who put together that whole video series. He invested a lot of money and scripted it out, and hired the studio, and he just put a lot of sweat and tears into that, and a lot of work. And he became a good friend of mine, and we still stay in touch. But yeah, he went on to do some other things. He was filming some of his own movies and stuff like that. I'm very proud of him. It's a very, very cool story. Like I said, very proud of my coach, who not only worked with George Foreman, but started writing his own book. That's a heck of an accomplishment right there. So I'm very proud of him for having done that. And again, proud of my buddy Felton Young for having filmed, having that dream of filming a fitness series, and then pushing it until Walmart picked it up. And then going on to film some other things, because he's not a film guy. You know what I'm saying? He was, I believe he was a pharmacist, and that's kind of going off into a whole other thing, right? I'm a pharmacist here, and then deciding I'm just going to be a fitness guru and film. That's amazing, man. So, anyways, I'm sorry I'm blabbing. I'm telling that story just because part of this reason I put together this channel is to help inspire and motivate you guys. And so, hopefully, that allows you guys to understand that, hey, if they can do that kind of stuff, maybe I can too, So, there you go. But anyways, back to my story. So, I would probably, most likely, still be teaching boxing. Still be working with Coach Brent, training fighters and traveling and things like that. I have a lot of awesome stories when it comes to the boxing. A lot of great people I worked with, and some really incredible experiences in traveling, internationally, training fighters and winning championships. And it was a heck of an experience doing the boxing thing. But I will say this: the boxing was a lot of times it was hit or miss. Money sometimes would be good, and then sometimes it wouldn't be so good. We'd be busy, and then we'd go for long periods of time not being busy. Same thing with like the fitness training. I was a top fitness trainer in my hometown area, and it was a small area. I mean, I lived about 45 minutes south of the Houston area, which is the big city. But I was training in a smaller area. More, you would probably call it more of the country area. But I was a top trainer there at my gym, and just locally, just in the area. I was known for my fitness training and my boxing conditioning. So I love that stuff. So yes, boxing, and still being still involved in fitness, I would probably still be doing that had I not decided to transition over to to music completely. But the reason I left that, I was doing that for 10 years before I, got involved in the music and, changed over. But the reason I did is because, hey, after 10 years, I kind of just felt like, hey, I'm maybe a little bit burned out, I guess you could say, of that other stuff. Like I said, it was always, it was ups and downs, highs and lows. And not to say that that's not happening here now when I'm doing my music. That's also a thing. Sometimes I got gigs and I'm booked and it's great, and then sometimes it's just nothing happening, and sometimes I'm putting together a band and it's going well at first, and then all of a sudden something happens and it just falls apart. Or I'm in the studio recording my music, trying to finish my album, and we're going strong, we're on a roll, got momentum going, and then, life happens, right? Like something comes up and it slows down our progression, and sometimes we have to put things on hold, and that's always very frustrating. And of course, I'm getting in my older years now, so I'm not no young spring chicken anymore. So, yeah, as you can imagine. So, I went from something that's stressful, it's not guaranteed, to another venture that's not always guaranteed and can be stressful. But at least the way I saw it was something different. Music was something completely different from what I was doing, and I enjoyed it. It brought a different kind of joy into my life, and it opened my eyes to a new talent that I had that I didn't realize that I had. So I just decided, heck, let's just go with it. And so I rolled with it, and here I am today. So yeah, again, the boxing thing, I probably would have still been doing it, and I probably would have been fighting. Actually, I had a lot of attempts at fighting before that always fell through. Even I started as an amateur. Never could get a fight. I remember there was like 3 occasions for sure that just kept falling through. And then I had, on my professional career, I signed up to, train as a licensed professional when I started with my coach, this other coach, Brent. And he was the best boxing coach I had, by the way, just hands down. Excellent, a lot of knowledge. And we really worked really well together. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, I don't want to get too much into it, but things kept falling through, man. I could never get a fight. Every time we'd have one lined up, it would fall through. Lined up, it would fall through. It was very, very frustrating, and it's a little bit sad because, a lot of people, including myself, believed I could have been a champion. I was really, really good at that sport. I loved it. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out. So I was losing money. I was training a lot, and then I started kind of feeling like I was overtraining because preparing for battle, trying to stay in shape, and then the battle never come. So that's kind of how it went. And so I stuck to really coaching, and it was just better for me at that time. And then coaching, a lot of people say, hey, they come to me like, I want to be a champion, man. I'm ready. Let's do this, blah blah blah. And then it's just. It doesn't take much. Once they see how much work you got to put into it, and or what it feels like when you actually get hit and get popped pretty good, that's usually enough to get people to, as my coach would say, they fold like a pancake, man. Once you put the pressure on. So a lot of people, they would work with me for a while, but they wouldn't stick with it, or they didn't want to fight. They were just doing it for fitness, which is totally fine, but. I really was more excited about, going to competitions, taking it more, further with those people. So it was mostly fitness people. Like I said, when I was training fighters, sometimes we'd have a fighter we were working with who would go and compete. And then sometimes there was just a real big slowdown and there was nothing going on. So anyways, yeah, a lot of people also don't know. Here's a little fun fact about me is I was a fencing champion, foil fencing champion in college, in my younger days, of course. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't like a big competitor or nothing like that. I do competitions, or I wasn't like that good. The thing is, I was a class champion, and that may sound ridiculous to some people. It's like, oh, that's not a big deal, But to me, it was because I had never fenced before, and I remember my instructor. Me and him went at it because I had already, gone through all the students, and I beat him. And he was just like, man, you're really good. So I'll never forget, they called in the Grandmaster, Grandmaster guy, right? I think he was a very well-versed, well-experienced, I think he was a former competitor. And anyways, he came in, and you know what? He beat me. He beat me, and so did his student. He brought in one of his top students, and I didn't have a chance. But when I was, going at it with the Grandmaster, he was, we were kind of neck and neck. I would get him, he would get me. I'd get him, he'd get me. But then he would always score the final point. and beat me. So, anyways, I was proud of that. So, but they gave me the title of class champion. So, hey, I'll take it. I really loved it, and I wish I could have gone further with that. But I'm telling you that because I don't know where that could have taken me had I had more opportunities to continue with that. And in a way, to me, that kind of correlates a little bit with fitness and training and stuff like that. So I'm just mentioning that it's also a combat sport, just like boxing, right? So the point is, I loved combat style sports and fitness training and exercise and working out. I loved all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I even went to college for a fitness and human performance degree. Unfortunately, I'll just be honest, I didn't finish it. When it comes to basics, like the required basics of the math and the English and all that, man, I don't know. I could never get on board. I could never just focus and concentrate and get through that. So I just did all the fitness classes, and I was well ahead of everyone. I'd already been heavily experienced in all this stuff and studied very heavily, on my own books and I've got a ton of books I read. And programs I went through, and anyways, so yeah, like I said, I can talk about that stuff forever because I am still very passionate about fitness and training and boxing and whatnot. Now, the other thing is I love acting. I have since I was just a kid. I remember I always wanted to be an actor. I loved, the movies. I was really good at quoting movies, and I sometimes would even write scripts and stuff like that. And it was a big time love of mine, guys. I loved the movies. I don't know. I can't say that enough. I can't express that enough. To this day, if I had an opportunity to be an actor, I would definitely take that. I would take it and run with it, man. I love acting so much, and I think I'm a much better actor than I am a singer, to be honest with you. Singing I really struggle with, but acting I've always been really good at it. And I've done a few little acting jobs. It mostly as an extra, but I've been in a lot of music videos. I can't even remember. To be honest, I can't even tell you how many I've been in. But there was some where I played, a lot of times I was an extra, and there's some where I actually played a main character, but I wasn't singing. I was just, in the video playing a particular character for the singer for them, filming for them. But it's kind of interesting because it still has stuck with me, this whole, acting thing. Because even now that I'm in music, doing just, trying to concentrate on music, I still film music videos for myself and my own original music. And so I'm, writing the scripts, I'm putting together everything, getting the actors together, finding the venues, thinking of the shots that I want to get, and of course, involving myself in it, and I'm in the video itself, so I'm still somewhat able to enjoy doing that, acting and filming, which is, my big love, right? Another passion of mine, like I said, since I was a kid. So it's kind of cool that even though I'm just, I'm concentrating on the music, I'm still able to do that kind of thing. And that keeps me, that helps make me really happy that I'm, get experience that still, right? And that's still a part of who I am. But yeah. So that's, honestly, yeah, I guess I don't want to include what I'd be doing as a regular job. Right now I'm a facilities manager, doing cleanup and maintenance over a couple of gymnastics facilities. At this point, working a night shift, and doing all my what do you call it? My lighting business, where I do the lighting effects business, like for stage lighting, and working with local bands and stuff, and doing my recording for my album, and doing all this kind of stuff. I'm doing most on the weekends and or during the daytime during the weekday before I have to go to work. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because, again, for some of you guys who are like, man, I can't I can't follow my dream of being I can't go fight, or I can't go, I can't worry about acting or filming YouTube videos or singing and recording an album because, I'm really busy and got a family and all that stuff. Well, guess what? I don't really know your exact situation. It is obviously a little different for everybody. And I don't know what kind of stress you can handle either. I believe that's a really big one too. Some people can handle stressful situations more, better than others, and can just push through that. But just for what it's worth, I'm going to let y'all know that I do work a regular job. Not a day job. It's a night job. Okay? And I work full time. Okay? And I have a family. All right? I have a mortgage, that I've got to pay, and things I got to do around the house, and just living life, right? Like living your normal everyday life. But what I'm telling you about what I'd be doing beside the music is, I'm talking more about like stuff you kind of dream about, right? Like not necessarily like what kind of job would you have necessarily, but stuff that's just different. It's not stuff that's not typical. Like I said, if I were to tell people I was a professional boxer, that's different, right? Or hey, I'm an actor. That's different. Things like that. And so I just, thought that's really important to let you guys know, because again, that's what this channel is about also, not just sharing my stories and talking about music, but just helping people to realize that if you have a dream, follow it. As long as you really want that, it's possible. And, you got to believe that it's possible. And, to me, if you really want something, you can make it happen. Or at least, or die trying, right? Like I tell people all the time, look, I might not ever become, a famous, singer or a famous boxer and all that stuff, anything, right? But it doesn't keep me from trying and constantly pursuing it, right? Like working towards it, because I have the belief that it's still possible. I think once you kind of let that go, like, I'm done with it. It's never going to happen for me. I might as well start concentrating on these other things. Start making other things priority, so on and so forth. That's to me, when you start making that kind of decision, that's when you really lose. You kind of let that dream slip away. And for some people, I think that's fine. I think if they truly have decided that they just don't really want it anymore, like it's not really, how do you say it? Gosh, what's the word for it? It's not like, I don't want to say not their passion, but it's not their desire anymore. There you go. Sorry, it took a while to get that out. It's not their desire anymore, and if it's not something they really desire anymore, it's like they had a change of mind. Then to me, that's fine. You're not a quitter. You're not letting your dream slip away. You've just made another decision, and you're happy with this decision. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing if you're saying to yourself like, if you really wanted that still, you're like, man, I really wish but I gotta let it go. It's time to move on with my life. And it's something that's still in the back of your mind that you worry about, and you have regrets and stuff. Man, that to me is, yes, you let your dream slip away. You stopped chasing the dream. You gave up on it. You quit. I would say at that point, you quit on yourself there. So what I'm trying to tell you is, don't do that. Don't quit on yourself, guys. I really hope if that's something you really want, you just stick with it and do it. Me, I changed my mind. I didn't have that desire to be, a world fitness trainer, greatest fitness trainer in the world. And I didn't have that desire anymore for becoming, this great boxing coach or world boxing champion. I'd done all that for about 10 years. And like I said, I kind of, it was it was time for a change. I gave it a lot. I gave it everything I had, and I did well. I have a lot of awesome experiences. Like I said, I'm very happy with the accomplishments I made. But I made a change, right? I changed my mind. I found a new desire, right? A new thing that I wanted to put my energy into. So I didn't quit on any of those dreams. I didn't give up on those dreams, and I'm still, hey, if an opportunity knocked, I'd open the door and let it in, and let's see what's going on, right? But right now, like I said, I am focused on my music, and that's something that is priority for me right now. So here I am. Well, guys, that's it for this one. I'm Nicky Phenom. Thanks for hanging out and watching. If you found this video helpful or inspiring or motivating in any way, make sure you give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so that way we can keep this going. All right? And always remember, keep rocking, follow your dreams, and believe it can happen.